Hello dear chess friends of International Chess School. Today we will continue to study various ways of attacks. The game from the board is extracted from a game played on September 2011 in the fourth round of the World Chess Cup in Kanzel-Manzur between the top grandmasters Gata Kamsky from United States and the Russian champion Svidler Petr. The position arises from Ruy Lopez, and what attracted my attention was the perfect balance between the armies. As you may notice, all white pieces are defending each other and are already developed, while black's only undefended piece is the knight from c6, and black has also a little problem developing the bishop from c8. As you already know, the elements of the attack are speed, how quickly one can activate his pieces and can create collaboration between various pieces. Second, we have the number of attackers, the possibility to create a local piece superiority. The pawn structure also plays an important role, and directly connected with the pawn structure we have weak squares. But sometimes there is something beyond these four elements, and I believe it's about the dynamic equilibrium. Most of the modern games are characterized by the dynamic equilibrium, and this equilibrium is given by the harmony existent between one's pieces. The harmony was defined by the Grandmaster Schubert as the degree of collaboration and mutual protection of the pieces. This is why I insisted on the mutual protection of the pieces in both camps in this position. And sometimes the trigger of an attack is determined by our opponent. His decision to take the material advantage or to break the coordination in any way. Maybe he believes that he has the initiative, or maybe he is just doing overcautious moves. But only by the help of the opponent inaccuracy, and because the opponent loses the harmony between his pieces, we can achieve the real potential behind our setup. White continued with h3, which is a logical move, stopping the light square's bishop to be developed on g4. Of course, bishop g4 would be a useful move, since it creates pressure on d4, and it pins the valuable knight from f3. Black continued with a waiting move, rook e8. Unfortunately, he misses the usual counterplay based on exchanging the light square's bishop with bishop e6, since white will give a double attack with d4, d5. White played queen c2. Of course, white can afford waiting moves because it dominates the a file, and it has also a powerful phalanx e4, d4. Besides that, it stops bishop e6. The pawn from d4 will be pushed either if black plays bishop d7 or bishop b7, since, for example, after bishop d7, d5, bishop e3 is not possible because of d takes c6 threatening a second piece on d7. For this reason, black decided to challenge immediately white's center, and to justify his previous move rook e8, which creates pressure on e4. So it took on d4. In classical strategy, it was thought that this is white's dream, to force black to take on d4. But after c takes d4, white has an impressive pawn phalanx, which is hard to be used. White has some troubles related to knight d2 position, and as I already mentioned, the rook from e8 and the knight from f6 are excellently collaborating to attack e4. Black played knight a5 here. Since bishop e6 is not possible, he found another way to neutralize this powerful bishop from b3. White played bishop a2, a very flexible move which keeps the pressure along a2 g8 diagonal, but at the same time keeps the maneuver bishop b1 in the backhand. The bishop b1 idea is associated with the e4 e5, which may create serious problems for black on b1 h7 diagonal. Black played bishop b7. It coordinates the bishop, the rook and the knight in attacking e4. White pushed e5. Of course, a pawn which can move is not a pawn weakness, so white decided to get rid of that e-pawn. Of course, after d takes e5, d takes e5, the d file will be opened in white's favor, which will be able to activate the rook from a1 or the other rook. And again, bishop takes e3 will be met by e takes f6 as an intermediate move. Knight d5. Black covered for the moment a2 g8 diagonal and attacks the bishop from e3. This is not a serious challenge, since after f takes e3, white will be able to create a collaboration between these pieces with the long range action, the bishop from a2 and the rook from f7 attack the rook from f1 attacking the f7 pawn. Once the a2 g8 diagonal covered, white switched to the other light square diagonal once that the bishop is out of play on p7, and played bishop b1, threatening queen h7. Black played g6, which seems a compulsory move, and here suddenly white's initiative starts to lose steam. His pieces starts to lose potential. With this maneuver, the bishop, which was active on b3, ended on b1. Of course, this will lead to a pawn gain on h6, but try to see beyond the appearances. Black's bishop are acting on adjacent diagonals, and the king from g1 is at the end of the road, which is not visible yet. but there's a great attacking potential hidden in black's position. White took the pawn. It looks nice, but in fact after g6 white doesn't have real threats, while black's pieces are very well coordinated. They are defending each other, and during this time the bishop from h6 is unprotected and can be the subject of a double attack or gaining a tempo. I think white took a pawn here, but threw away a small slice of white's pieces potential. Black played knight c6, attacking d4 twice and using the consequence of white's last move, which lost the protection from e3. Now white has to defend. He took a pawn, he lost some of his potential energy, and all it has to do is to defend. Queen e4 was the right move. Queen e4, trying to reach g4 or h4, and to give support for that lonely bishop from h6 in attack. White tried to use an intermediate move here. He played e takes d6. Such kind of intermediate moves are fine when your pieces are coordinated, and when your attack is a result of a long planned operation. But in this case, white just created a threat. Black stopped it, and white took a pawn on h6. We cannot talk about a long-term planning here. So this kind of exchanges, when white is decided to exchange the powerful e5 pawn for the d6 pawn, has to be carefully pondered. E takes d6, black took the queen, queen takes d6, and white played knight e4. Again, it looks very nice. White seems that have the initiative, gains a tempo attacking the black queen, and there's a problem behind it. Such moves doesn't fit into a plan or to-do list. While black's pieces are gathering potential energy, answering white's threats, white is losing steam by playing simple moves. White started from 2 or 3 moves ago to set up his own trap, since the position is changing very fast. Try to take a look at this position, and suddenly we have a totally different position, where the black queen is active, and in conjunction with these powerful bishops, which are active on adjacent diagonals, the queen will play an important role. The side which has such an apparent initiative can easily lose the thread of the game once that the initiative evaporates. Queen b4 attacks d4, and from the 4th rank the queen will be ready in some lines to land on h4. I'm not sure if the Russian champion Petr Svidler saw this right from the beginning, but it is obvious that from the dark squares the queen will excellently coordinate the bishop's attack. Bishop e2. Logical, white returns to a2 in order to create X-ray pressure on black's king. Knight takes d4, and of course white has to agree with the fact that black recaptured the pawn, and after knight takes d4, bishop takes d4, we have a very balanced position. The balance is still here in the position, but the trend of the game has been changed. Knight f6 check, a nice trick, but one more time I will underline this, is just a couple of moves thrown on the board. Of course, knight takes f6 doesn't work for black, since we have a pin on a2 g8 diagonal, and after knight takes f6, queen takes g6, followed by queen g7 or queen f7 mate at the next move. Queen g7 actually, since the f8 is taken by the bishop. Unfortunately for white, black is not forced to take the knight, so king h8. The bishop from h6 and the knight from f6 are looking dangerous in black's camp, but in fact there's no coordination between those pieces. They're not filling the same purpose. White took on d4, knight takes d4, and of course after queen takes d4, white will lose the rook from e8, and the knight from d5 is also hanging. So black took on f6, knight takes f6. Once that queen g6 is no longer possible, since the black king has left g8. Now the knight from d4 is hanging. There's hard to find a good square for the knight. The bishop from h6 is exposed, the knight from d4, while the only active rook from the board is the rook from e8. As you already know, the one who manages to activate first one rook in a battle has a serious edge, and black exploited quickly and efficiently this edge. White played knight c6. It is a double attack. It attacks the rook from b8 and the queen, and of course bishop takes c6 is a bad move. There's no reason to exchange such a knight which is exposed for a powerful bishop. Now the role has been switched. Now the black bishop is attacking the light squares along the long diagonal, while the bishop from a2 seems to be out of play. Remember the position a few moves ago when white's bishop was the one to be active, while after bishop b7 it seems that the bishop from b7 is not participating in defense. Let's go back to the game. White played knight c6, black chose queen h4, White still didn't feel the danger. Probably it has to go back with a bishop c1, or to take on f7. There are plenty of candidate moves. I won't discuss this subject of candidate moves here, but what's important is that the position on the board changed. Black is the one which has the initiative here. White has a lot of hanging pieces, and it has to fight for a draw. Instead, under the feeling that it still has the initiative, White played knight b8, knight takes b8. Perhaps White was considering only normal moves like queen takes h6, which of course will lose from queen's potential from h4, or queen g3, which looks very nice. Please remember this form of collaboration between the queen and the bishops with the long range action. Unfortunately for Black, this idea can be replied with knight c6, covering a2 a8 h1 diagonal. And now probably Black considered the move rook e2, where of course after queen takes e2, Black will take on c6, and then quickly the mate will follow on g2. An important role plays the bishop from b6, which stops any freeing move from the f pawn. The f pawn cannot move. But White has a nice answer here. He can play queen c3, and after bishop f2, check, king h1, eventually the queen from c3 is collaborating with the bishop from h6. It justifies the h6 position for the dark square's bishop, and White will be forced to Black will be forced to accept the queen's trade here, which leads to a very balanced position. I still think that Black has the initiative, but the position is balanced. Starting with this move order in this tactical operation, Black saw the winning move, and he simply reverted the move order. He played rook e2. The point is that after queen takes e2, queen g3, there is no defense against the mate on g2. Knight c6, bishop takes c6. Of course, he can give all the pieces along the long white diagonal. Bishop takes d5, and there's no defense against queen takes g2. Probably the Grandmaster Kamsky missed this powerful move. In fact, Black is bringing the rook in the battle, and it's creating a huge piece superiority. And all the pieces are pieces with long range of action, and there's no an obvious kind of local piece superiority. Is a hidden one, and this is why you have to remember it and realize the reasons which make it possible. Rook takes e2, so white tried queen c3, rook takes f2. Now of course rook takes f2 will be met by queen takes f2 and queen g2 mate at the next move. Knight c6, rook takes f1, double check, and white resigned. If king takes f1, then queen f2 mate, and after king h2, rook takes a1, and black will end up with an extra rook, and the attack goes on against the white king. Bishop g1 will be threatened in that case. I hope you understand the term of harmony between your pieces, and you'll try to find hidden collaboration between the pieces, and of course, why not waiting for opponents' mistakes or inaccuracies in order to reach the maximum potential energy of your pieces. Till our next meeting, best wishes.